In this lesson, we'll cover checking systems. So, for all the systems that you can create inside of Revit, HVAC system, plumbing system, or electrical system, you have a variety of analytical tools that you can use to inspect your systems. For example, the system on our screen right now is a duct system, HVAC system, if you will, for supplying air, hot and cold to your building. Let's say you wanted to run inspection against that. Well, there are analytical tools to let you look at flow rates, pressure loss values for this given system. Specifically for systems, the tool is called a System Inspector tool, and we can launch that tool from the system browser. To do that, let's first turn on our system browser. So go to the View tab on your ribbon, go all the way to the right to the User Interface dropdown, and checkmark System Browser. This will open the system browser on the right, showing me all of the systems that I currently have within my Revit model. Now, the system that I currently have in blue on my screen is called the Mechanical Supply Air 32 system. So if you scroll far enough down in the system browser, you'll see this. When you see it, go ahead and click on it. With it highlighted, the ribbon changes on the right, and you now have tools to run an inspection on the system. That tool in the analysis pane is called System Inspector. So let's go ahead and click System Inspector. Now, when you click System Inspector, you should see a new little icon or set of icons appear within your Revit window. If you don't, that means something is incorrect within your system and you'll have to correct that. For this lesson, though, we're just going to focus on this inspection tool. So the three icons in the little ribbon that appear are Inspect, Finish, and Cancel. Well, let's inspect the system. So just click Inspect. Now what will appear are flow arrows, showing me the direction of flow, in this case air, and as you mouse over any one of these parts of the actual HVAC system, you see values or calculated data based on that flow, including pressure and pressure loss. As you move to a different part of the system, you see more calculated values. Again, flow, pressure loss, and for this example, total pressure and excess pressure. And I again can move to a different part of the system, and as you keep moving to different parts of the system, you see this analytical data or inspection data that's generated from this System Inspector tool. Now, you can also see similar information in the Properties area on the left for whatever component you are clicked on within the system. So I can see static pressure and flow. You also can see information for your system in the system browser. So if I scroll over to the right a little bit, I have an actual column for flow. If I had other columns displayed, I'd be able to see that information as well for the different components within my system. Now, there's also another way. There's a report you can run that'll actually generate this information in one or two or three sheets, depending on how much you're looking at within your system. So to see that report, let's first close out of the Inspector tool. So just click Finish. Now, one method to launch this report is to select your system first. So again, in the system browser on the right, let's go ahead and select our Mechanical Supply Air 32 system. With it selected, again, the ribbon changes in the top. To the right of the System Inspector icon, you now have a new icon called Pressure Drop Loss Report. Let's go ahead and run that report. The first thing that appears are the Report Settings window. This is where you can define what fields you'd like to have in your report in what order. So you can move them from the left to the right and up and down, defining those fields. You also can set what else you want to display within your report by the checkboxes on the very bottom. You can save this as a report format, so you can use it again if you want by setting that at the top. For this example, though, we're just going to click Generate using the default values. Now, on the next window that appears, it's asking me, where do you want to save this report? Well, I'm just going to save it to My Documents. So I'm just going to click on Documents. Then it's going to ask me, well, what do you want to name this report? Well, I'm going to call it HVAC for this example. Call it whatever you choose. For the file type, by default, it's HTML. Or you could set it to CVS, basically an Excel spreadsheet. It would open in Excel. For this example, though, I'm going to leave it set to HTML because mine is configured that it will automatically open the report once I click Save. save yours to your documents or your folder of choice, give the file a name, leave it as HTML, and then click Save. Now, depending on your antivirus settings or your firewall settings, you may have a couple windows that pop up asking you to confirm the operation or allow it. Please do so for this example. Now, what should happen then, once you get through those questions if you're asked, is a report should be generated and saved to the location of your choice. This report shows the columns you chose and the additional information based on your checkboxes. So I can see the information for the project at the very top, then for the mechanical system. I can also see the calculations for the pressure drop and for the different pressure drops or flow rates for the different parts of the HVAC, or in this case, duct system. Again, all of this was configured within that settings screen for the report. To close the report, just simply click the X in the upper right of the browser window, and then you're back to the Revit screen. And then to deselect anything that's currently selected, just click in the background of your actual Revit model. So as a review for this lesson, we looked at checking systems. We looked at different ways that we can actually view data of our system, and we looked at how we can use the inspector tool or system inspector to look at various analytical data such as flow, pressure, and pressure drop for an HVAC system. We also looked at where else this information can be displayed, such as the flow, pressure, and pressure drop, not only by hovering over the actual system after you run the inspection tool, but also seeing the information in the property area on the left, the system browser on the right, and then finally, we ran a report to display all of this information in one nicely condensed sheet or spreadsheet of values.